Hello guys, how are you doing? If you remember, we have done few videos about system design concepts every software engineer must know. There we discuss about the proxy, load balancers, caching, so many concepts. Today, I am going to add one more video to that, one more concept to that, which is a rate limiting. If you remember the load balancing video, we discussed why we need a load balancer. We need a load balancer because we have a high traffic, we need to make sure we have enough servers and also the traffic are equally distributed to those servers. It may be equally, it may be based on your processes, it depends, right? We discussed all those things in that video. Today, I'm going to show you how you can use a rate limiter to protect your system. So if someone is trying to send heavy traffic to your system and take your system down, how the rate limiter can help to prevent that, right? So rate limiting we can use in a multiple ways, right? Let's first see what the rate limiting and then we'll see how we can use those, right? Before that, if you're not subscribed yet, you need to subscribe. You must subscribe. This is a channel you must subscribe if you're a software engineer. Why? Because from software engineer to architect, you have so many concepts in the videos which help you to build your career. So go ahead and subscribe. Right. So let's say this is your service. Right, and this is your client, right? This is your client, this is your service. So now client can send multiple, let's say you have a gateway here or something like that. Okay, let's focus the gateway first. This is service. So now client can maybe use a script or something and send a flood your service with traffic, right? Then what will happen if you have a load balancer and if you have a scaling setup, then of course this service will scale and then the load balancer will balance the traffic. But maybe these are some unwanted traffic, right? So therefore, it will increase your billing, right? Because it's auto scaling and then it's adding more and more nodes and then load balancer work and then so many traffic flows, it increases your bill. Plus, at some point, it will take down your system, right? So rate limiter we use to protect these services to solve this problem. How the rate limiter works, you can tell, hey, you only allow maybe 10 requests per second. Right? You allow, this is an arbitrary number. You can say 10 requests per second. Or you can say 2 requests per second. Or you can say 100 requests per hour. Something like that. Or 1000 requests per day. Something like that. Right? What you are saying, this much of number of requests you are allowing for this much of period, right? So now what will happen, let's say you are saying 5 requests per second, right? 5 requests per second. So now you are sending 5 requests, right, within the second, and when you are going to send the 6th request. When the 6th request hit the rate limiter check, okay, I have time for 5 requests, but now, I have a quota for 5 requests. Now the 6th one came, right? It's sending 429 response back, 429 status code saying too many requests, right? So now you need to wait a little bit and you need to get the opportunity in the next second, right? Because every second it gets reset, every second you get a 5 requests, right? If it's an hour, if you say 1000 requests per hour, if you let's say just assume it start at 10, right? So 1000 requests filled by 10:30. Then you need to wait other 30 minutes to get this reset so then you can send your request, right? You get an idea. So now the problem is where you put this, right? If you implement the rate limiter for each service, then it is not much use because when it scale, right? So let's say that you are implementing within the service, this logic within the service, right? So now you are saying 5 requests per second, right? So now this scale, now you have one more instance. This instance doesn't know that this guy already served for 4 requests, right? So this instance will start to serve other 5 again. So if you get the new instance, this will start to serve other 5 again. So your rating logic will not effective and it will fail if you are trying to couple this rating logic to the service. I have seen some people doing this, but it's a wrong idea, right? If you want to do this, that's a way. How you can do this? Then you need to use something like Redis here, right? Redis sort of a very fast in-memory caching technique, right? Not necessarily be a Redis, can be memcache or something, but it has to be fast. So now what you can do is, when the request comes, it keep the track with this, again, let's say service 1, 1 request, 1 more request came, service 1, 2 requests. So then each services, every time when it request, it check with the caching how many requests being served, right? So if you really badly want to implement the writing logic to the service, you can do it. But there's an easy way to do that, right? There's an easy way to do that. So how you can do that? You have an API gateway, right? Or we discussed something called proxy, right? Remember, go through the playlist. You have a proxy video. You can do this within a proxy. So if you go with the API gateway, this is a kind of right way to do it, right? So you can tell API gateway, hey, if you get this service, this is the number of requests you can serve. Now, doesn't matter how your scaling work, even though you get 100 instances, every traffic going through your gateway, right? So now gateway can count about how many requests is being served to this service, and it can do the dropping part, right? In that case, this extra traffic will not flow into this side at all, right? If you use AWS gateway, AWS API gateway, I will demonstrate this in one of another serverless video. In the AWS API gateway, you can put this rate limiting logic to the gateway itself, right? So now what you can do is you can say, hey, I want to send the 1,000 requests per day, and for this app ID, right? Then the client request has to carry an app ID, and that app ID will determine how many requests being served, and it will block if you get additional requests, right? Why we need this? Why we need to do this? Okay, there are a few reasons. One, and the main reason, if you want to prevent from the DOS or a DDoS attack, right? If you want to prevent from the DOS or DDoS attack, then you need to use this, because the DOS attackers or a DDoS attackers is trying to flood your system with the traffic, and this traffic will never flow into this side. But we cannot just use the rate limiter to prevent the DOS or DDoS attack. Here is why. Because the DOS mean a denial of service, right? So now, if they flood the traffic to the rate limiter, and if the rate limiter exceeded, then they succeeded, right? Because the follow-up, the request won't come to the service because rate limit stopping it, right? So that is what they wanted, denial of service. Now service is denied. So that, it succeeded, but here's the thing. This DOS or DDoS traffic will not hit your service layer at all, right? You can stop this side being attacked, but yeah, service is getting denied. So that's what I'm saying. DOS or DDoS prevention, you can do just with the rate limiter, right? But most important thing, you can stop unwanted billing, especially if you're in a cloud, right? If you're in a cloud dev environment or something like that, maybe one of your developer use a for loop or some sort of iterator and to hit the services, right? So it's wrong, but they didn't say. It may be a huge bug. So because of this bug, you may hit millions of traffic to this API and you get a huge bill, right? So to prevent that, you can put a rate limiter. Now follow-up request will block, then you can see, okay, is this service really need to send this much of traffic? Then you may go and find the bug, right? And likewise, there can be various reasons and why we need a rate limiter, but typically how this rate limiter works. So now we have one more tool regarding every software engineer must have.